Hey, I saw a post of yours on Facebook or Instagram, one of those two places this morning. And I was wondering if you wanted to talk it out.
That is a very good question because I would like to talk it out because it is still bugging me.
Okay, well, why don't you fill me in with what happened and how you're feeling?
Thank you. All right. So I was scrolling and commenting on posts in Facebook, and there was a post that asked, what do you think a risk of being the owner of a dental practice is? One of the risks is.
Mm-hmm.
And I commented that I think one of the risks is burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody replied to me right under mine and tagged me my name saying, they're the risk of success and a good life, which made me feel like I was a loser because I went through burnout and it made me feel ashamed. And then it also made me feel a little frustrated because when I was going through that, I remember feeling so alone and looking outward at everybody else thinking they're successful, they're happy. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it made me sad because I know that there's more people than just me that have felt that way. And that by not allowing that conversation, more people just hold it in.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were making a genuinely helpful comment on a Facebook post, and the comment that was as a reply was the unhelpful comment that you found to be unhelpful to you in that moment because you felt that it related to what you had said above, and then it created big feelings when ashamed, frustrated, bringing back all that feeling alone. Why did that trigger so much? Like, it did it quick. By the sounds of it, it was like an instant, I read that and now I'm feeling this way.
Oh,
Why do you think it was such an instant response?
Yeah, it was instant. And I wanted to but it really brought up that moment in my life when I was burned out.
Yeah.
And nobody would talk about that. Everybody just talked about how great everything was in their practice, how great it was to be a dentist, how wonderful this career was. And it brought back the fact that in that moment, I joined in those conversations, but I didn't feel it. Yeah. And I thought something was wrong with me.
So in effect, on a smaller scale, it was a similar situation of being isolated from a group discussion by having your feelings diminished by you can look on the bright side of life. It's like when somebody tells you, oh, smile, isn't it? If you're not in the mood to smile and somebody says smile, it's never going to make you feel good. And in that same sense, somebody's saying to you, oh, well, you might not get burnout, you might be successful. You were being quietened again.
Yeah. And here's another thought, was that in that moment of burnout, I was successful. Yeah. I had a successful practice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily that you could have one or the other.
They are tied together because you worked so hard and committed so much to that one thing. That's why you had the burnout, but also the byproduct was a successful practice. It's kind of disguised underneath success. It is.
Yeah.
So it felt hard in that moment to like read that comment. But what do we know to be true? Like in that moment, you did your post, that was the reply. But do we know 100% that that reply was aimed at you?
No. And that's a very good point. Because I did think of that. Fortunately, I had, before I replied to the reply, I looked outside and it was getting dark and I knew I had to take my dog for a dog walk. So I went for a walk and it changed my whole perspective. And I decided not to reply to the reply. And that was exactly one of my thoughts. I didn't know for 100% sure the intention of the reply or if it was directed at me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't reply. And I thought that I had successfully navigated that until this morning when I woke up and it was still bugging me.
And these things tend to have a habit on Facebook of coming back to the top of your feed. So you have to read it again.
Exactly. Why is that?
So in order to help you move past the fact that this is bugging you today, you've shared that how, and I can feel it when you describe it, how you felt in those moments when you were suffering burnout and going through that situation and it felt like nobody was listening. And Facebook recreated this mini situation of the same thing. You were sharing burnout and it got quietened down. And it felt like therefore people weren't listening. But what do you know about the fact that you shared about burnout yesterday? What has it done? Like, you put those words out there in the world. So what does that mean to other people reading that post?
Yeah, it may mean that somebody does see that and knows that they're not alone.
Yeah. So your intention for the post, regardless of what was written after it, does that man's comment diminish actually the words that you put? Are they any less clear on Facebook? Are they any less?
No, that's a very good point. They're still there, as clear as day.
Yeah. So you have clear words. The comment, intentional or not, is underneath. But how do you react when you read through Facebook posts or any social media when somebody kind of counteracts or disagrees with what was written above? What do you think?
Yeah, sometimes I would say it's healthy because it stimulates conversation.
Yep.
And I love curious conversation because even though my ego tells me I know everything, I know that's not true.
Yeah.
And so I do enjoy curious, respectful conversation where there's differing opinions.
Yeah.
Because, that's how you grow and that's how you learn. So, yeah, I do. There are times when I feel a little ouchy when I see somebody, because I'm always like thinking, oh, I wonder if that hurt that person's feelings.
Yeah.
Because I'm a feeling person.
Yeah. So applying that to that feeling of what you feel when you read through a Facebook post, this was just a discussion. It's one person's opinion about maybe or maybe not even related to what your comment was. Because sometimes when you post a comment, you automatically go in as a reply, even though you didn't intend it to be a reply.
Right.
So what we know to be true is you put your message out into the world about burnout.
Mhm.
People have read that,
Mhm.
and that will have registered. So you communicated what you needed to.
Yep.
Sounds like you perfectly went for a walk at the time, that there wasn't like a knee-jerk reaction to I'm going to have to reply to this, and you realized that you didn't need to reply.
Mhm.
And you also, when you see other posts, appreciate the need for open discussion
Mhm.
to encourage like a wide, diverse range of opinions.
Yeah.
And the person that commented probably doesn't even know you.
Mm-mm.
You don't know them.
Right.
So how do you feel now thinking about all those things
Mhm.
and what you put out into the world yesterday?
I feel a lot better. Thank you.
So you can now take that, put it to the side,
I can be done with it.
be done with it. And even if it pops up on Facebook today, like, okay, let's say it pops up on Facebook today, you see it again, maybe it's a highly commented on post that keeps popping up at the top of the feed.
Yep.
What are you going to tell yourself when you see that? Because you saw it this morning, you may well see it again later. What are you going to tell yourself when you see that post pop up?
I'm going to tell myself that my message is still there, clear as can be.
Yeah.
And that open discussion is the way we grow, and let it be.
That sounds perfect. How does that make you feel?
Lighter.
Right.
Thank you.
Take off that hat.
I'm taking off that hat. That's right. Thank you for talking it out with me.
No, my pleasure. Anytime. That's
All right.
what we're here for.
Cheers.
Bye.